Alrighty, we'll move on to our next one now. So this is a one-year deal, and kind of a surprise. We knew that this player and this team were connected for a while, but we thought that there was a good chance he was going to re-sign in Boston. They obviously weren't able to make the money work, and so Tyler Bertuzzi is now a Toronto Maple Leaf as he goes to his third NHL organization. It is a one-year contract at an AAV of $5.5 million. So once again, Bertuzzi is betting on himself and is now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, Chad, do you want to start us off with this one?
Yeah, sure, I can. Last episode, Harp, we talked about where Bertuzzi would go. I predicted he would go to the Edmonton Oilers because I thought it was such a good fit for the Oilers to add Evander Kane, a guy who played tough but could still produce offensively. Because I feel like a lot of teams who have good players tend to add one or the other, a guy who can contribute or a guy who can, kind of be a bruiser out there and play down in the lineup and make an impact that way. Well, Evander Kane, just like Tyler Bertuzzi, adds both of those elements, and that's why I think he's the perfect fit for the Maple Leafs. So I gave this contract an A. The only reason I couldn't give it an A+ is because it's only 1 year, and Bertuzzi's going to play with Matthews and Marner more than likely. He'll probably put up 70+ points, maybe 30 goals, and they won't be able to afford him on a long-term deal. Also, I will say, too, Bertuzzi is a player I've wanted forever. I've been a little bit nervous for the Leafs signing a player like this because he's a bit of a Band-Aid, and he had that whole situation going on with not being able to play in Canada during the pandemic, and I thought there would be some lasting, animosity towards Canadian teams. I guess that's not the case, but if they're able to re-sign this player, I think he can sign in January of 2024. If they're able to re-sign him, then this contract looks brilliant, right? 1 times 5.5. But if he's only there for a year and they can't get anything done with the player going forward, then the contract doesn't look as great. But I'll settle on an A because I think the player and the team really love the deal.
Yeah, I mean, this is the new GM coming in and saying, hey, you wanted sandpaper. You've asked for sandpaper the last 4 years. I'm going to bring you 2 guys who have exactly that. I'll bring them in on 1-year deals so that when this also doesn't work, we can get rid of them. No, that's pessimistic. I actually like this deal a lot. I think that the 1 year, as much as it is low risk, I do think that it would have been nice to get him on, multiple years. I think that if this was the same as the Bunting deal, I'm probably giving this an A+. But because it's 1 year, I'm landing more like A-. But then I've actually given this an A grade because they took him from Boston.
Yeah.
That makes it actually that much better of a deal because now you don't have to worry about him in the playoffs. He was Boston's best performer in the playoffs, and I mean, 5 goals, 5 assists in 7 games. Not to mention punching a lot of people in the face and just pissing everyone off all game. He brings a lot to this team that is missed. He will put up a lot of points and he will get a nice contract next year. So I am going to give this one an A still.
Yeah, and Harp, just before you jump in, I wanted to mention too, we heard on 32 Thoughts a couple months ago, Elliot Friedman said that, we heard around the league that the Toronto dressing room is the big 4 guys and then kind of everyone else, and there was a stark divide. Well, I really like the Bertuzzi signing and to a lesser extent the Domi signing because it feels like those players are more contributors in all areas, especially offensively, as opposed to just guys you need to do a certain role. You know what I mean? It just feels like it can also be their team, especially if they want to stick around long term, as opposed to, even a guy like Nola Chari or Ryan O'Reilly. Did it really feel like it was their team? No, they kind of felt like they were on the periphery, and maybe that contributed to them both walking in free agency. It just feels though like these are players who, add to it without being separate from it, if that makes any sense. That's how I interpreted both of those deals.
Yep, no, definitely adding a guy like this, and obviously, the other two, in Domi and Reeves, it changes the dynamic of that locker room. It makes this team louder and more fiery, and so I like that a lot. But yeah, focusing on Bertuzzi, I think it's a great fit for player and team. He bets on himself again and can slide right in and take that spot that was Michael Bunting's on that left side with Matthews and Marner, put up a ton of points, and then go from there. He's looking at a nice contract for next year, we all expect. But I'll give this an A as well. I think it's a great fit. He does a little bit of everything. Boy, did he ever look like a Boston Bruin. He looked great in that uniform, but he's going to look great in a Leafs uniform as well. And Case, I'm with you. The fact that he goes from Boston to Toronto just adds an extra little spice onto it. So yeah, I'll give this an A as well. It's a good bet for the player and the team.
Imagine being the Bruins, trading away Taylor Hall as a cap dump so that you can sign this guy, and he walks to your division rival. Like that's a kick in the pants for Bruins fans here.
Yeah, definitely. And if the two big dogs down the middle don't come back.